Hello, good evening. My name is Joseph. We Mexico. We pronounce my family. I pronounce my name like with Joseph, like we P of Paul, the word Paul, like stick, not like the North Pole or South Pole of the Earth, right? Okay, I'm going to talk about atoms. I already talked about atoms a few minutes ago, but it wasn't said anything. Um, just a little part. Um, it was saved only a little part of the video or the end, a few minutes or 1 minute, and I'm very disappointed about it. My name is Joseph, and I wanna talk about atoms, or I wanna talk about atoms, or I wanna talk about atoms again because I supposedly recorded like a 45 minutes video, but it wasn't saved at all. It wasn't recorded. So I'm gonna make a video again, another video, and I hope it is saved correctly. I'm very disappointed for wasting like 45 minutes of of 45 minutes of a video. I hope that this time it doesn't get lost again. I think I'm going to record a smaller video, maybe half an hour or 33 minutes, because if it is lost again, I don't want to lose too much. Lose too much. I don't want to lose or lost too much. I don't know how to say in English. Lose or lose too much time again. Okay, I'm going to talk about the atom. For example, I'm very disappointed. I'm very angry for losing 45 minutes. Okay, the atom is for me like a little ball of matter, like a little piece of matter, right? For science, an atom is like a little solar system, like it is like a little ball of matter too, but it is like a solar system or like a little solar system composed of a neutron and proton. Neutrons are protons in the center, and an electron around the center, right? And for example, I don't see evidence that things are made of atoms. For example, in a metallic spoon, or a metal spoon, or a metallic spoon, or a metallic spoon, or a metallic spoon, I don't see evidence that it is made of atoms, right? I see evidence that it doesn't that it isn't made of atoms, or it could only made partially by atoms, right? For example, just in a metallic spoon. For example, the physics that I see in a metallic spoon is like something simple, right? In a metallic spoon, I see something simple, or something simple without cells, right? And subsequently, I don't see that it is made of atoms, or completely made of atoms. It is not made of atoms, or it only could be partially be made by atoms, right? And for example, for me, an atom is just like a little ball of matter, right? Or like a little piece of matter, or like a little piece of matter, or like a little ball of matter, right? No, for me, it's not like what science says. As far as I know, I have my research hasn't reached that far, hasn't reached so far until now, right? And For example, on Reddit, on the website where you can publish scientific things or, philosophical things or physical things or mathematical things or many things about countries or many subjects. You don't have to talk only about science or physics or philosophy or mathematics. You can talk about, for example, you can talk about you can talk um, about, for example, languages. For example, Chinese language or German language. I haven't seen about German language, but I guess there could be uh, the people you could talk about it too, about the German language on Reddit or Reddit. And for example, they claim that a metallic spoon it is made of atoms, but I don't see evidence. I mean, they directly say that it is made of atoms, but I don't see evidence of that. I see evidence that it is something simple without cells, only that. Subsequently, it is not made of atoms, or only partially made of atoms, or only partially could be made of atoms, in my theory. For example, in my theory, maybe atoms could be like big. For example, an atom could be like a big, um, for example, the size of like a millimeter, right? A ball of the size of a millimeter, right? Or maybe bigger, a little bit bigger, right? But this is only theoretical. I'm not sure about that. I'm not an expert, right? Uh, maybe it's not coherent, right? Coherent that theory, because science says that they are very small, right? But they haven't. Science hasn't proved that what science says, that it is very small, that atoms are very small, right? And for example, they claim, for example, theoretically, for example, why I think that it is not made of atoms, a metal spoon or a metallic spoon. I don't think that it is made of atoms, because, for example, um, if a metallic spoon would or a metal spoon or a metallic spoon would be made of atoms, you could take two metallic spoons and rub them together, join them together, rub them together, and you could actually join them together, fuse them, right? But you can do that. So that's evidence that it is not made of atoms, or that it only could be made partially made by atoms, right? And for example, um, um, for example, um, for example, that's evident, right? But the claim that it is made of atoms, even though you can join them together by rubbing them to each other, like the metallic sponge, right? And for example, I want to know if atoms exist, because, for example, I have seen hard drives inside, and they seem like something simple without cells, or they look some like a metallic spoon. So I believe that the only way I can and that a computer can work is that atoms exist, or that everything is made of atoms, right? So because and the disk in the hard drive, in the disk in the hard drive, or inside the hard drive, or the disk in the hard drive, has to be made of parts, or have parts, or have physical parts, right? So that it can store the bits, the zeros and ones in the disk, right? So it is not possible if atoms don't exist, if things are only made of matter or matter without atoms, right? For example, in the case of a metallic spoon, that it is not made of cells, apparently, or at least until now, people don't claim that it is made of cells, right? And for example, many things have happened to me, but I can talk about it because my family prohibits me prohibits me from telling the story that or the things that have happened to me. And for example, I don't know what to think. I'm very depressed. For example, I don't have money, and I want to ask you, my friends, if you can actually donate me some money, or if you can watch the video many times. I mean, as much as you can. I mean, if you cannot do it, then don't do it. I mean, don't watch the video many times, or even if you don't want to watch it at all, then don't watch it. Okay. For example, yes, I would like, for example, it would be nice if you can donate me, for example, $1 to into my bank account so that um, I can collect money to pay uh, a loan that I borrowed from the bank, right? That that I own to the bank, right? I don't know how to say that. I don't know if that's the correct way to say it. And for example, if the video would have been recorded or saved, this would be my second video, right? Because I wanted to record many videos or save many videos, right? And for example, what else can I talk about? Um, right. For example, they claim on Reddit that, for example, everything is made of atoms, or that the metallic spoon is made of atoms, even though you can join them together by rubbing them to each other. And they claim a lot of things, but it is very annoying to read too much stuff that they say, but I have to do it. Um, I wanna know if atoms exist because I wanna know how the computer exists, how the computer works or exists. And for example, even though if atoms exist, I don't know if I can explain how the computer works actually. I mean, it is illogical actually how how the computer works. I mean, how like billions of bits or zeros or ones can fit into a little box like this, like a hard drive box. And it is very it sounds like illogical, right? For example, one mistake that I found in science is, for example, the definition of an atom. For example, they claim that the meaning of atom is without division, but they say that atoms can be divided into something smaller. I don't know if electrons, protons, or neutrons. I mean, it is made by electrons, protons, and neutrons. Supposedly, by what science says that they are made of, but I don't know if they can be divided. I think protons and neutrons can be divided, but I think that electrons cannot be divided. I think that um, I think that um, electrons are fundamental particles. I mean, but I'm not sure. I don't remember what you can do your own research, and I think that the electrons cannot be divided into something smaller, but I'm not sure. I mean, because for example, just research something in the internet, and in one website says something, and in another could say another thing. For example, I read that maybe an atom could be divided into something smaller, but for example, maybe just for example, the atom. I don't know if it is true. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember if it can be divided, the separate the electron from the protons and the neutrons. But I don't know. Uh, uh, but uh, but I think that the neutrons and protons can be divided into something. I don't know if separate from each other, or if they can be divided into something else like quarks or something like that. For example, the only the proton into quarks, or the neutron into quarks, or something like that. I don't remember. You can do your own research. For example, I'm going to talk about other topics. Like, for example, I think that Earth is spherical, but I have no proof about that. I don't know how to research it. I don't know how to prove it. And I think that science hasn't proven that Earth is spherical. I think it's only a theory, but I think it is a good theory. And I think that Earth doesn't move. And for example, what else? Um, what else can I talk about? I think there's the I have recorded like 16 minutes, 17 now, 17 minutes. I'm gonna record a little bit more of time, but I don't know. I'm not sure how much time do I want to record, because it could be lost again, like the other video that I have recorded just a few before I started to record this one. And for example, I don't remember what I talked about in the other video. Um, yes, for example, what I understand by that everything is made of atoms is that, for example, you can get individual atoms, and you can form an object just by rubbing the atoms, right? Or that, for example, you have a metallic spoon, and supposedly that it is made of atoms, or partially made of atoms, or that it is not made of atoms. If it is made of atoms, which it is illogical for me, you can separate the atoms individually, like by destroying and cutting the spoon, the metallic spoon. Or if it is made of partially by atoms, you can separate to the atoms, um, by the you can separate the atoms in the spoon too. Or if it is not made by atoms, you can turn the spoon into atoms, right? In the three scenarios, right? Scenarios. So you can get the atoms, the individual atoms, and then of the spoon from the spoon, and then you can just rub the atoms by to each other and form the spoon again. That's why I understand that everything is made of atoms, or that the metallic spoon is made of atoms. But I don't see evidence of that. So I don't know what to think. For example, I was working at a website called freelancer.com, and I thought that I was going to make a lot of money, right? But I didn't make the money. I thought that I was going to be very successful making designs, good designs, but it didn't happen. And I don't know what to think about. For example, I thought that maybe I could make, like, for example, $200 for one design, or even more, maybe $500, or even depending of the design, or more or less, um I don't know, maybe $1,000. It is too much, but it is possible to earn that. Or I thought that it was possible to earn that money. And for example, I have worked on a website called AdWord, and I don't make any money neither. And on freelancer.com, I haven't made any money neither, and nothing at all, not even $1 or $5 in, like, in 2 years or 3 years of work, like, making many designs, many, I don't know, like 1,000 designs or something like that, in all those 2 years or 3 years. And I'm very, I don't know, very, I don't know what word to say. I'm very disappointed or something like that about not making any money on freelancer.com or Upwork or any website. For example, I can talk about many things that have happened to me. Um, I don't know. I don't know what is happening to me, and it is very difficult to make money for me to be self-sufficient. For example, I depend on my father because he gives me money. He pays the rent of the apartment where I live, and he pays the internet service, and he pays for the food, and he pays for my clothes, and he pays everything, right? He pays for the food, he pays for um, the money I spend at the grocery store, and I don't know what to think. I feel very, I don't know what to say. I feel very bad about myself, very, very, like, very bad for myself, very sorry for myself, very bad. Um And for example, yes, for example, I have researched on ChatGPT. I have asked to ChatGPT about atoms. It claims the same stuff, that, for example, a metallic spoon is made of atoms, even though that you cannot join together two metallic spoons just by rubbing them to each other. And I think that it is contradictory, but I think it is very annoying that there's no that they don't show the evidence, right? For example, if they say that atoms exist, why don't they show the evidence that atoms exist, right? That's something that I don't understand, and the same thing happens to me about cells. I don't know what cells are. I don't know what is the definition of cells. What cells are? What are cells? And I don't know if it means that the soul doesn't exist, right? And for example, what I understand about, atoms, for example, sorry, not atoms, about a metallic spoon is made by atoms. I mean, as I explained, for example, for me is that you can separate the atoms in the spoon, or whether it is made of atoms or separate of atoms in the spoon. If it is partially made of atoms, or you can turn the spoon into atoms if it is not made by atoms, so if it is only made by matter without atoms. And then, for example, if it is made by atoms completely 100%, not partially, or or that it is made by atoms, you can join the atoms just by rubbing them each other, and you can get the spoon again. But that is illogical, right? But ChatGPT says that the spoon is made of atoms, even though you can I haven't asked ChatGPT about what it means that the metallic spoon is made by atoms, right? But I'm not sure if it is talking the same thing, or make that if that it is talking the same thing that I mean, or if that, for example, uh, it is talking about something else, right? That, for example, things that it is saying the same thing that I want to say, but it is not saying the same thing. It doesn't mean the same thing, right? For example, yes, it claims that the metallic spoon is made of atoms, even though you can uh, join two metallic spoons together, right? But that seems illogical. But I need to read all that information to see what it says. But it is very annoying because it's I have researched this topic for many years, and yes, I don't know what is happening to me, right? For example, I think that the earth is an sphere, but I don't think that it moves, but I'm not sure that it doesn't move, right? So I need to make the experiments, but I think that it doesn't move in general, right? But I'm not sure. I don't have the confidence to say that the earth doesn't move, right? It could be moved, but I don't like the idea because it is illogical. We don't feel anything about it. For example, I want to make this video to my friend Lone Note and my friend Peter James and my friend Herman. He's an Indian man from India, like Indian like Gandhi or like Ramanujan, the mathematician Ramanujan. I mean, no, I'm not saying he's like an Indian, like Mexican, like or like a Mexican Indian, meaning Mexican. No, I mean he's Indian, like the country for Asia or something like India. The country, I don't, well, you understand what I mean. I'm talking Indian like Ramanujan or Gandhi, right? I'm not talking like a Mexican or like a American Indian, like a Native American Indian, like a Native American, right? For example, um, what else can I talk about? Well, I think that Earth is spherical, but I have no proof that Earth is spherical. But I think that if we want to determine if it is spherical or if it is flat, I think that we should like use philosophy, right? For example, make like a drawing, un dibujo in Spanish. Un dibujo is like a dibujo is like drawing, a drawing, un dibujo, a drawing. It's from Spanish to English, right? A drawing, or for example, how it is like a spherical Earth, right? Or how it is like flat Earth, right? But for example, Osam is like Um, sorry for talking Spanish, and I want to make more videos in English for my English audience, because I think that maybe it is for respect for them, because they deserve videos in their languages, right? And For example, uh, for example, what do they mean by like a flat Earth, right? For example, they claim that the flat Earth is la, like a circle pyramid, but upside down, right? With the with the I don't know how to explain it, right? Um, like the Egypt pyramid, but in a circle, right? Not like a triangle, right? And instead of the top being above, the top bit I don't know how to say it. Um, like I think that the word is the expression is upside down, right? Like for example, you know what I mean, like a circle pyramid, but upside down. It's just that it sounds to me like I'm not explaining myself with that expression, like upside down. What I wanna say is that it's like the cabeza in Spanish. Like for example, like inverted, right? Like with the no, I don't know how to explain myself. Sorry. Uh, like with the legs up and the head down, right? That's like the cabeza in Spanish. The cabeza means like with the head below, and meaning like the legs above and the head below. That's what I mean with like a circle pyramid, right? It's yes, like uh, like a circle pyramid upside down, right? For example, the claim that flat earthers say is that, for example, that they don't have the curvature, right? But for example, we need to study physics, right? First, to not to start to determine whether Earth it is flat or spherical, right? Let's not talk about round, right? Because round is not what we want to say. I mean, a flat Earth could be round too, and a spherical Earth could be round too. So the word isn't round or flat or round. It is flat or spherical, right? And for example, we need to study physics. For example, why can we cannot see cells with the naked eye? Why we don't perceive cells? Why they are so intangible, right? That doesn't mean, of course, that cells don't exist. The fact that they're intangible, right? But I mean, what we need to know is to whether the soul exists. If we are ghosts or souls or ghosts or spirits, right? Or if we're like robots or robots made of cells, right? Something physical or completely physical, right? And yes, to know what we can see cells with the naked eye, but I don't see evidence that um, I don't see evidence that cells can be seen with the naked eye because they are too small. I don't see evidence, but that doesn't mean that it isn't true. That I mean that statement is not true. That the statement that cells can be seen with the naked eye is not because the size. I mean, I could be wrong, but my mind tells me that it is not true, right? And for example, we need to determine that, and I don't see evidence of that, but it could be true that there's the statement that cells can be seen with the naked eye is because they're too small. It could be right. It could be right that statement, but I don't see evidence. So it is very difficult. But the fact that, I mean, even though I don't see evidence of that, no, no, I'm not saying that cells don't exist. I mean, I don't see evidence of that explanation that cells can be seen with the naked because they are too small. That doesn't mean that it is not true. That thing, because if cells exist, we have to explain, right? Why we can see them with the naked eye. But I don't know. I mean, um, maybe forcefully, necessarily it is true, even though there's no evidence. I mean, not that there not is the explanation of why we can see them, right? And, for example, we have to define cells. What is the definition of cells? I mean, without mentioning the soul, whether the soul exists. I mean, the definition of cells by the without mentioning the soul, whether the soul exists or not, right? For example, we we should determine whether cells and the soul can coexist, right? But could or can coexist. But I mean, I think that it is a little bit illogical that they both coexist. I mean, it is very hard for me to believe in cells, and I think that it is insane. It is very, it is very, it is very extremistic to not believe in cells, but I think that it is very extremistic to not believe in the soul. But maybe it could be right. Maybe the soul doesn't exist, because I mean the majority of people say that the soul doesn't exist, right? But I don't know if they understand what the soul means, or if they telling the truth. And I don't see, my in my experience, I don't see evidence of that the soul doesn't exist. But I don't know necessarily if in this case the majority of people are right or not. But just in my opinion, I believe in the soul. For example, we should determine, for example, how the vision works. For example, to determine if Earth if is a globe or not. I mean, we should study physics, right? For example, how a video camera works. I mean, that thing that Jaron, or main journalism, the channel journalism, the YouTube channel journalism. For example, he said that he made experiments about the curvature, um, about um, about putting a camera on a globe or a balloon, and they will try to share the curvature, right, of the sphere, or the sphere Earth, right? For example, but there's a problem with that experiment. Is that, for example, I don't know how it works. I mean, we should know how the video camera works. I mean, even if it seems to work, for example, I mean, for example, like if you record something here on Earth, on uh, I don't know how to say it, on here below on Earth. I mean, not on a globe. You can see that it works. I mean, it records well the what you record on the camera, right? But um, I don't know if it is the same on the on space, right? For example, if you send the camera on a balloon, right? I don't know if it is the same because I don't know what is light, right? Because supposedly we see things based on light, um, bouncing or on our eyes. I don't have to say it in English, right? Like um, like repeating or crashing, like refracting on objects, right? On our eyes and on objects. That's why that's how we think. That's how we we see things through light, like in the in the bouncing of light, right? On things. That's how we think. We see things. We don't see we don't see things without light or without an explanation like that, right? But we need to we need to determine how I mean, if the soul exists, if through the soul we see things, or or if or if of if it is without a soul, right? I mean, or if there are impulses, electrical impulses in the brain, right, or in the eye, the in the brain, that from the light that enters the eye, from the light that enters the light, and the video is gonna end right now, right? And I think that I'm going to stop it because I could lose lose or lost all the video right now. I think I'm going to record another video, or maybe I'm going to split right now because it is too late here in Mexico. It is like at night, right? And I want to talk about many topics, right? And I think I'm gonna finish the video. I'm gonna make another, or I'm going to sleep, right?